lot of players spend a lot of time practicing legato, alternate picking, sweep picking, hybrid picking, and lots of other useful techniques. But there are two techniques that are more important than all of these combined, and in my eyes, these techniques that I'm referring to can make the difference between an okay player and a great player. Take a listen to the following lick, for example. I'll play it twice and I want you to listen out for any differences in sound. So there was no difference in the notes and rhythms played there. However, hopefully you noticed that the first time I played it, when I went to bend this note here, it didn't quite intonate the way you would have expected it to, and the vibrato on notes kind of sucked. And the second time I played it, I intonated the bend correctly, like so, and I used a consistent and even vibrato. So as you have probably already worked out, the two techniques I'm talking about here are bends and vibrato. Now, there are loads of players out there with crazy good picking technique who can shred at the speed of light, but what players like Zakk Wylde and Yngwie Malmsteen have in common is great bending and vibrato technique. And these two techniques are what I personally perceive as feel. Now, a lot of people think that a guitar player doesn't have good feel unless they're making ridiculous guitar faces throughout all of their solos. But really, this is quite far from the reality. If I hear a player who can bend notes accurately and who applies vibrato to the notes he or she plays, then to me that sounds like they're passionate about the music they're playing and therefore they have feel. So how do you get started with these two techniques and how do you practice them? Let's start with bends. There are many different types of guitar bends, including whole tone and semitone bends, also known as whole step and half step bends. And I'm not going to go into detail on all of these, but let's take a look at a whole tone bend. So really quickly, if you don't already know, a tone is the distance of 2 frets if you were to look at it on one string. So for example, from the note G to the note A on the B string, that's a tone. So that's from fret 8 to 10. So I'm going to treat the note A here at the 10th fret on the B string as the target note. And what that means is this is the note that we're going to bend up to. So what you should do is pick the note A at fret 10 on the B string, and I want you to keep the pitch of this note in mind and then move down 2 frets to the note G. Now pick the note G and bend the string towards you until it reaches the pitch of our target note, which is A. So pick the note A, move down 2 frets to G, bend up until you reach the pitch of our target note. So just to recap, what you're doing is practicing the intonation of your bends by first picking the target note, keeping the pitch of that note in mind, moving down 2 frets and bending up until you reach the pitch of the target note. And I want you to pay attention to how my hand is positioned when I bend the string. So I always have my thumb on the side of the neck like this, and I bend the note with my ring finger here. But I always have my ring finger supported by my index and middle fingers. I find that having my thumb on the back of the neck really prohibits me from being able to dig into the bend, and it kind of feels like I'm fighting with the string. So that's why I always keep my thumb on the side of the neck like so. And if you do not support your ring finger with your index and ring fingers, then you're going to have a really hard time bending the string with accuracy, and again you're going to feel like you're fighting against the weight of the string. So things to remember are thumb on the side of the neck, bend with the ring finger and support it with the index and middle. So let's move on to vibrato. This technique is achieved by subtly altering the pitch of a note by bending the string back and forth like so. And when I add vibrato to notes, I don't bend the string by moving my fingers alone. What I do is I slightly rotate my forearm like so. So really it's kind of a combination of slightly moving my forearm and pulling back and forth with my finger ever so slightly. And you can, of course, combine these two techniques and apply vibrato to bends. And when I do this, when I apply vibrato to bends, I tend to apply the vibrato with more emphasis on the motion of my fingers pulling and pushing the string as opposed to moving my forearm. So there's a very brief summary of these two techniques. If you want to get better at bends and vibrato, I recommend watching Guthrie Govan's masterclass on bending. I think that's on Guitarist Magazine's YouTube channel, but that's like a 5-part video or something along those lines, and it's just jam-packed with information, so I'd really recommend going and checking that out if you want to get better at bends and vibrato. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give the video a thumbs up. My online guitar course, Bulletproof Guitar Player, will be coming out very soon, so stay tuned for updates on its release. And if you would like to see more free content like this every week, then please hit the subscribe button below.